Hi, this is On Lee, and I am reading my essay too as extra credit. Almost everyone has played video games before, but people always seem to have different options on video games. Some people, such as parents, think that video games are harmful to children because when they play too many video games and got addicted, their lives will become a mess and their grades will drop significantly. Other people, such as some kids and adolescents, may think that video games are fun. It amuses them and brings them happiness when playing it. On social media and even personal experience, people have seen so many adolescents who got addicted to video games and rejected going to school. On the other side, some professional video game players are earning more than $1 million every year. Finally, some people play some video games in their spare times and having a regular life. However, gaming cannot define as a good or bad. It is the concept of how people utilize it and view it. Therefore, what are the impacts of video games on gamers and why these impacts matters are important determinations of the concept of good or bad of video games. To better understand how video games have playing a role in people's lives, analyze research results is important. From all the research results, it is easier for us to see the impacts of video games. For many people, the first thing that comes to their mind when mentioned video games are children. Of course, most children have played video games, but are children playing video games a good thing or a bad thing? In Vivian Koff's Mesfiti et al. Research paper, is time spent playing video games associated with mental health, cognitive, and social skills in young children. The researchers discovered the relationship between the number of time children spend playing video games and children's mental health and cognitive and social skills. The results show that playing video games may have a positive impact on young children. Further research is needed, but although some children are addicted to video games, there is no result that it is detrimental to children playing video games. According to Vivian, playing video games was associated with a lower prevalence of self-reported internalizing disorders and fewer reports of thoughts of death, shows that video games can help children maintain better mental health. Through this research, we can refute the rumors of video games and show that it also has a positive effect on playing video games. Most of the rumors are aimed at young children who become bad kids after playing a video game. So the research paper is a strong argument against the common sayings. Therefore, we have to view video games rationally. It is not a bad thing in many people's eyes. Also, looking at this research results in a different perspective, when the time amount of time playing video game of young children show there are not specific relations to their mental health and social skills, the targets and the bystanders have to take it personally. It is not possible to define it is a good or bad playing video games by facts. It is a thing that needs to deal with the litigants. Since violence is an essential topic being discussed in recent years, can violent video games cause aggressive action has become a question. Also, when the topic of whatever violent games can cause aggressive actions come to the argument of whether playing video games is good or bad, it becomes extremely important. In Gabdini's Alessandros et al. Research paper, The Long Gamer, social exclusive predicts violent video game preferences and fuels aggressive inclinations in adolescent players. The researchers discovered a potential determinant of teenagers' willingness to play video games. Social exclusive, social exclusion. The results show that the participants who were excluded from participating in violent games showed the highest positive tendency than participants who were assigned to other experimental conditions. The findings from these experiments show that social exclusive increases the preference for violent games, and the combination of exclusive and violent games intensifies aggressive tendencies. This research paper showed that violent games have effect on the player who will gain aggressive tendencies and especially on those who were socially excluded. However, no research has shown that playing violent games will make the probability of engaging in crimes higher. This is a good point to show that violent games can affect those people who are encountering social exclusion more, and especially some gamers when they are sitting in front of the screen the whole day, which is just socially excluded. This has a lot of meaning for players because it means that although playing violent games will increase the player's violent tendency to a certain extent, this has different results for different players. For those addicted to games that stay at home all day and are isolated from society, it is nothing more than fatal. But for other players, there is no difference between playing violent games and playing normal games. But it can be said to be a kind of relaxations. So for violent games, it still depends on the individual. What kind of person and what kind of thinking can create what kind of action is beyond the scope of game. To conclude this research, it showed that playing violent video games can intensify aggressive tendencies. However, only for a specific group, the people who are socially excluded. It is common to see people who have high exposure to video games are overweight, which make video games a detrimental factor to their health. Are there any ways to help those gamers to get rid of the problem? The research paper is written by Simons, replacing non-active video gaming by active video gaming to prevent excessive weight gain in adolescents. Tries to find out a good solution for people who are overweighted still a long time sitting in front of the screen. According to Simon, the adolescent period is specifically characterized by a decline in physical activity, a high amount of sedentary screen time, and unfavorable changes in body composition, pointed out the problem many adolescents are having. There are always many gamers sitting in front of the screen for a long time, playing video games and ingesting sugary drinks and snacks. However, this study tried to intervene with some of them by getting them to start playing some active video games. After a few weeks, their weight and body size became smaller and smaller. I do think this research is very important. It seems that the final result is not good enough, but playing active games is indeed a solution to sitting in front of the screen and causing many diseases. The research paper suggests that sitting in front of the screen for a long time will make teenagers gain a lot of weight, and playing active games is indeed a good solution of these people. The research has clearly shown that playing some active video games can lose weight, which is an advantage. However, how many people would play active games when they are already having excessive weight? They probably do not even want to get off their beds. Further research, further researches are needed, but if the player are not putting real effort into changing their lifestyle, nothing could be done. But in short, it is still a really good idea of helping those overweight players. People such as parents may not familiar with video games. However, one game that popped in front of their eyes is Pokemon Go. Unlike other active video games which can be only played in front of a gaming monitor with a gaming host, Pokemon Go can be easily downloaded on the mobile phones. While watching their kids leaving the screen, they were watching for the whole day, grabbing on a phone and going out with their friends catch Pokemon. They are enjoying themselves by playing games and also exercising and making friends at the same time. Isn't it amazing? In the research paper written by Wagner, Green, Victoria R. et al., Pokemon Go healthy or harmful? Explain the potential health consequence that may be caused by playing Pokemon Go, which can only be able downloading on a mobile phone, and mention how Pokemon Go require players to move physically outside to capture various types of mobile game creatures. The author states that some players are injured during gaming when they walk crossing the street, driving, and riding bikes. However, they also discovered that the players who usually play Pokemon Go outside are losing weight and also reducing the time of sedentary. This is a big step forward for video games. Sitting in front of the screen for a long time and playing in a dark room has become synonymous with video games. But the emergency of Pokemon Go completely broke this pattern. In this eyes of many parents and people who do not often contact games, children have more time to spend outside while playing games, and through Pokemon Go, they made more friends. According to Vivian, this is a highly social activity for most children, as the vast majority majority of children play their video games with a friend. Some games explicitly reward effective cooperation, supporting and helping behavior. Besides playing processually, video games increased processually behaviors. Children who frequent played processually video games were more inclined to engage in helpful behavior later in the year. Strengthened the climb of playing Pokemon Go can make friends and maintain good mental health. People who previously repelling video games usage could probably change their minds by looking at the benefits of playing Pokemon Go. Although some people were injured while playing, its its advantage its an advantages far outweigh for disadvantages. Video games can create joy through social networks. However, it can also create mental illness. In the research article written by Murius B., usage, usage of leisure times with playing video games and social networks states that video games can create a social network among people, and in that network, they can communicate and make connections through playing and discussing video games. In the article, Murios states video games become the focus of social relationship among colleagues, acquaintances, etc., as they enable players to compete online. Some frequent online conversations and discussions are parallel to the game, and the importance of this lies in the fact that they share a specific language, which they identify as their own. What Murius has researched show that people have a lot of ways to create their interpersonal relationship circle, and the video games can also be one of the ways. However, on the other hand, video games can also be a negative typical type. In the research article, video games used in childhood and adolescence, social phobia and differential susceptibility to media effects. Melanie Luca et al. States that playing too many video games may lead to social phobia. Also, the adolescents who already have social phobia tend to have heavy exposure to video games, which comes along with loneliness and worse social skills. In this particular situation, the phrase heavy exposure means a lot. The research only finds out of the correlation of social phobia to the people who have heavy exposure to video games, not included the others. Therefore, the two researched articles all come to the same factor. The results are determined by the way how people choose to utilize video games. The researchers have not only pointed out the obvious and direct results and the effects of playing video games, but also reflect social problems. According to Vivian, children who played games for more than 5 hours a week are a typical example. Most of their parents are not divorced. Their parents are well educated and have stable jobs. This shows that games are just a very common way to entertainment for them. Other children may be poor because of single parent families and cannot afford expensive games. Now, a game usually costs more than $60, or they may not want to play the games because of their mentality, or they may need to go out to work. Moreover, socially excluded people will increase their violent tendencies by playing violent video games. Indirectly expressed, some people's current lives. Some people ignore the other types of data when they only focus on what they just knew, which they directly conclude that playing video games, will increases the tendency to violence. But other people can also say that those who have been autistic at home all year round can release their inner pressure by playing violent games, thereby regaining their desire for living. For playing Pokemon Go, some people would say that it is bad because players can hurt themselves and even cause death when they are playing the game. On the other hand, people may argue that it is good because it is a good way for people who sit in front of the screens for a long time of exercise themselves and able to take a breath outside. This have all come to a result. It is the litigant and the situation that defines whether playing video games is good or bad. Ideal is beautiful, but the reality is cruel. Through the analysis of the argument in this article, we have learned that different people have different views on this matter, and no one is wrong when commenting on this topic. Everything is an argument, and also everything is two-sided. However, what is wrong is the way some people analyze the idea by understanding only the facts they know. They do not consider the other facts they do not know. Therefore, by having both pros and cons in all the researches, gaming cannot be defined as good or bad. It is the concept of how people utilize it and view it. Thank you.